Hello friends, this is me, your host. Welcome back to our channel. I hope you all are well and doing great. So today I'm back with another video to give review on three books which are all about the romantic stories. I hope you have already watched the other books on my channel. If you haven't watched it yet, you can watch it there. And if you wanted to buy any one of these books, you can visit our Amazon page and buy it from there. So the first book which we're going to see today is The Giver of Stars by Jojo Moyes. Introduction. Jojo Moyes, The Giver of Stars 2019 is a sweeping work of historical fiction. Historical fiction set in Europe in Depression era America, specifically in the remote and rugged mountains of Kentucky. Known primarily for her emotionally charged contemporary novels such as Me Before You and After You. Moyes here steps into the realm of historical storytelling, weaving back weaving fact and fiction together to shed light on a fascinating but little known chapter of American history, the Pack Horse Library Project. This project, initiated under President Franklin D. Roosevelt's New Deal and championed by Eleanor Roosevelt, employed women to travel on horseback to magazines. Deliver books and magazines to isolated Appalachian communities. Moyes transforms this piece of history into a rich and layered narrative exploring themes of literacy, gender, independence, oppression, oppression and oppression, friendship and resilience. While the novel takes liberties with its fictional and an homage to the women who risked much for the sake of knowledge. Plot overview. The novel begins with Alice Wright, a young Englishwoman from a respectable but respectable but stifling family. Stifling family. Craving escape from her monotonous life, Alice impulsively marries Bennett Van Cleef, a charming American visitor. Her romantic dreams of freedom and excitement quickly collapse when she finds herself trapped once again. This time under the roof of her controlling and authoritarian father-in-law, Mr. Van Cleef, who rules not only his family but much of the town with wealth, status, and intimidation. Alice's life changes when she volunteers to join a new initiative, a traveling library. Traveling library where women on horseback deliver books to isolated mountain families. It is here she meets Margery O'Hare, the fiercely independent daughter of a disreputable moonshiner. Margery, scorned by many in town of her family's it is here she meets Margery O'Hare, the fiercely independent daughter of a disreputable moonshiner. Margery, scorned by many in town for her family's reputation and her refusal to conform to societal norms. Alongside them are other women, each with each with unique strengths and struggles. Izzy Brady, a timid young woman with a physical disability. Beth Pinker, brash but loyal. Saf. The narrative interweaves moments of joy, children discovering books for the first time, isolated families receiving comfort through stories, with darker turns including gossip, scandal, violence, and injustice. When Margery is falsely accused of murder, the librarians must rally together to protect her and the very existence of the library, confronting the powerful forces that wish to silence them. Chapter by chapter breakdown. Part 1: Escape and Entrapment. Alice marries Bennett, hoping for liberation, but realizes life in Paleyville is restrictive and suffocating. Introduction of Mr. Van Cleve is a domineering patriarchal figure. The creation of Pack Horse Library and Alice's decision to join despite her husband's disapproval. Part 2, The Birth of the Library. Alice meets Margery, Izzy and Beth and their journeys into the mountains begins. Early challenges: dangerous terrain, long rides and suspicious locals. But slowly, the women win trust by bringing not just books but also news, comfort and companionship. Part 3, Bonds of Friendship. Alice and Margery's friendship deepens with Alice learning courage from Margery. Community begins to see the librarians as essential. The opposition grows among conservative men. Sophia emerges as a symbol of racial injustice. Her knowledge and efficiency are critical but underappreciated. Part 4, Conflict and Injustice. Mr. Van Cleve leads opposition to the library, weighing the women's independence as threatening. Rumors swirl about Margery's relationship with Swin Gutzavon, her partner. When tragedy strikes and Margery is accused of murder, the stakes escalate. Character analysis. Alice Wright. Alice is the lens through which readers enter the story, at first naive and constrained by societal expectations. She grows into a courageous woman who defies her husband and father-in-law. Her transformation from outsider to integral member of the librarian team symbolizes personal liberation. Margery O'Hare. Margery is the novel's most compelling character, independent, outspoken, and unwilling to bow to patriarchal norms. She defies gender expectations by refusing to marry, choosing instead to live on her own terms. Her resilience in the face of gossip and injustice makes her the heart of the novel. Mr. Van Cleve, a symbol of entrenched patriarchy and corruption, his wealth and social standing allow him to manipulate others. But his hatred for female independence and intellectual freedom makes him the perfect antagonist. Bennett Van Cleve. Weak and indecisive, Bennett is torn between his wife and his father, but ultimately sides with patriarchal control, he serves as a foil to Alice's growing strength. Supporting characters. Easy Brady overcomes her physical ability and lack of confidence to find her own sense of purpose. Beth Pinker represents defiance, brashness, and loyalty. Sophia Kenworth highlights racial inequality despite being excluded from full participation. She is indispensable to the library's success. Style and writing. Moyes' prose is clear, accessible, and emotionally engaging. She balances historical detail with storytelling. Ensuring that the book appeals both as history and as drama. Her descriptions of Kentucky's landscapes, its forests, rivers, and mountains, are immersive. While some critics argue that her villains are too one dimensional, the novel's strength lies in its depiction of female courage and collective resistance. Critical reception. Upon release, The Giver of Stars received widespread praise for its subject matter and characters. Critics applauded Moyes for spotlighting a forgotten piece of history and for her celebration of women's resilience. Some debates arose over similarities with another book, but Moyes defended her work as independently researched. Readers generally responded with admiration, often describing the novel as both uplifting and eye-opening. Embraced it for discussion worthy themes. Strengths, strong female characters and relationships. Evocative historical setting. Compelling exploration of literacy's importance. Blend of drama, romance, and social commentary. The Giver of Stars is more than a historical novel. It is a testament to the resilience of women, the necessity of knowledge, and the transformative power of stories. Jojo Moyes succeeds in blending history and fiction, offering readers both a page-turning drama and a meaningful reflection on the fight for equality and freedom. For those who love historical fiction, especially novels highlighting unsung female heroes, The Giver of Stars is essential reading. It reminds us that books have always been and will always be among the most powerful tools for liberation. The next book which we're going to see today is the Dating After the End of the World by Jeneva Rose. Jeneva Rose, widely known for her best-selling psychological thriller. The Perfect Marriage takes a bold step into a new genre with Dating After the End of the World. Instead of another dark thriller or suspense novel, Rose delivers a post-apocalyptic zombie romance with a strong dose of humor, family drama, and enemies to lovers romantic tension. This genre shift is both surprising and refreshing. At first glance, the title might seem tongue in cheek. Dating and the end of the world are not natural companions. But Rose proves that even in the bleakest settings, stories of hope, forgiveness, and love can thrive. The novel tells the story of Casey Pearson, a woman with complicated past rooted in her father's doomsday prepping. When society collapses under the weight of a zombie outbreak, Cassie finds herself returning to the very lifestyle she once tried to leave behind. Her survival isn't just about avoiding zombies, it's also about facing old wounds, reconciling with family, and confronting Blake Morrison, her former high school bully turned unlike Ellie, and potential love interest. Plot summary. The novel opens with Casey Pearson, a doctor whose life seems relatively normal despite a traumatic childhood, with a father obsessed with survival. Her, her father raised her in a compound, stockpiling food, weapons, and emergency supplies for the inevitable collapse. When Casey became an adult, she distanced herself from this way of life building a career in medicine, and attempting to lead a normal life. But the outbreak changes everything. A mysterious virus sweeps across the country, transforming the infected into violent, zombie like creatures. Cities fall, governments fail. The fragile web of society unravels almost overnight. Cassie, caught in the chaos, realizes she has only one safe option: return to her father's compound in rural Wisconsin. When she arrives, she discovers the place is not only still functional but thriving. Thanks to her father's meticulous preparations. The show comes when she sees who else is there. Blake Morrison, her old high school mentor, the boy the boy who once made her teenage years miserable. Now older, more rugged and hardened by survival, Blake is both a reminder of painful memories and a potential partner in navigating this brutal new world. The compound becomes the central setting where Cassie, her father, Blake, and other survivors grapple both external threats: zombies, raiders, scarcity, and internal tensions, old grudges, distrust, power struggles. As the story unfolds, Casey and Blake are forced into close proximity, where hostility slowly transforms into banter, reluctant trust, and eventually deeper feelings. But the romance is not simple. Casey carries scars from Blake's bullying and wonders if forgiveness is possible, while Blake is wrestling with his own guilt, regret, and desire for redemption. Around them, the collapse of civilization raises pressing questions: who can be trusted? What compromises must be made to survive? And can love even exist when the world has ended? Story Development Part 1: Collapse and Return. Casey witnesses the outbreak firsthand as society crumbles. We learn about her father's prepping background and her estrangement from him. Forced by circumstance, she makes her way back to the compound. Part 2: The Compound. Introduction of survivors who already live there. Reunion with her father, which is both awkward and comforting. Encounter with Blake, tense, bitter, and awkwardly charged. Early conflict, the group debating rules, leadership, and whether outsiders should be welcomed. Part 3, Tension and Survival. Casey and Blake clash repeatedly as they navigate patrols, medical emergencies, and zombie attacks. Memories of their high school years resurface, deepening their mistrust. Yet small cracks in the hostility appear. They save each other's lives more than once. Action sequence intensify, raider attacks, food shortages, and zombie hordes put everyone at risk. Part 4, Revelation and Romance. Blake begins to open up about his past, admitting regret for how he treated Casey. Casey confronts her own unresolved pain and wrestles with whether to forgive him. The relationship shifts into genuine connection, though not without setbacks. Tensions with the compound rise, power struggles, betrayal, and conflicting moral choices test everyone. Part 5, Resolution. Casey and Blake's bond faces its ultimate test. External threats force the survivors to make life-altering decisions. The novel concludes with a mix of hope and uncertainty, leaving some threads open for possible continuation. Character analysis. Casey Pearson. Casey is a strong protagonist precisely because she is flawed. She is competent. As a doctor, her skills are vital, but she carries emotional scars. Her journey is as much about healing her own past as it is about fighting zombies. Blake Morrison. Blake begins as the archetypal high school bully turned unexpected ally. At first, his presence is infuriating to Cassie, but over time he reveals depth, remorse, and courage. He's not one-dimensional. He was guilt, longing, and a desire to prove himself. His chemistry with Casey is central to the novel's emotional weight. Casey's father, a complex figure both vindicated and criticized by the apocalypse. His obsession with prepping, once ridiculed, now proves life-saving. His strained relationship with Casey provides much of the novel's emotional grounding. Writing style and structure. Rose's style is fast paced, cinematic, short, tense chapters, witty banter to cut tension, action sequences balanced with emotional beats. Tone shifts between dark and light. At times, these shifts feel jarring, but for many readers, that balance makes the story more enjoyable. Conclusion. Dating After the End of the World succeeds as an entertaining, heartfelt, and thrilling mix of zombie, complex, and romance. Jeneva Rose proves that even in the darkest settings, humor, forgiveness, and love can flourish. This is not a book for those who want pure horror or pure romance, but for readers who enjoy a mash-up of genres: survival tension, enemies to lovers dynamics, family drama, and moments of laughter amid chaos. It delivers exactly what it promises. The last book which we're going to see today in this video, which is also the romantic story, is the Meet Me at the Seaside Cottages by Jenny Coughlin. Jenny Colgan has long been recognized as one of the most beloved voices in contemporary women's fiction. With novels such as Little Beach, Street Bakery, and The Bookshop on the Shore, she has developed a reputation for blending heartfelt storytelling with vivid depictions of coastal communities. Her novels are often described as comfort reads, but beneath their cozy surfaces lie deeper explorations of identity, resilience, and the power of human connection. Meet Me at the Seaside Cottages 2025 continue this tradition while focusing on one of Colgan's richest subjects yet. The complicated and often fraught relationship between mothers and daughters. Unlike her earlier works that lean more heavily on romance, this novel places family dynamics at its center, exploring the messy, imperfect, but ultimately healing bond between Janie Carter and her adult daughter Essie. At once a tale of homecoming, a meditation on forgiveness, and a celebration of seaside life. The novel balances light-hearted community charm with emotional realism. Its blends of humor, tension and tenderness makes it both accessible and poignant, ensuring it resonates with readers across generations. Detailed synopsis. The novel begins with Jeannie Carter, a divorced mother of two who has made a modest but fulfilling life for herself in the seaside village of Carso. Having endured the collapse of her marriage and the challenges of raising children, largely on her own, Janie has rebuilt her world around stability. Her renovated cottage, her job as an audiologist, her friendships within the village, and the quiet joy of small daily rituals. Yet beneath this calm, Janie still grapples with loneliness and the unhealed fracture in her relationship with her daughter Essie. Once inseparable, the two have grown distant over the years. The relationship strained by Essie's perception of her mother's failure and Janie's difficulty in bridging the generational divide. Meanwhile, Essie, now 30, is plundering in Edinburgh. After losing her job and struggling with rent, she reluctantly returns home, feeling defeated and resentful. The, res- the return is hardly joyous. Old resentments rise to the surface as she and Janie are forced to share the same roof again. Parallel to this domestic tension, the narrative introduces the Seagate cottages, a cluster of neglected seaside homes near Janie's property. Their derelict state becomes symbolic of their despair. Disrepair in Janie and Essie's relationship. As work begins to restore these cottages, the mother and daughter also embark on their own journeys of rebuilding. Not just the cottages, but the trust, communication, and love for each other. The plot unfolds gradually, punctuated by community events, humorous encounters with neighbors, and the presence of beloved side characters, including rescued dogs that add both chaos and charm. Romance simmers in the background. Janie tentatively considers opening her heart again, while Essie stumbles into unexpected opportunities for connection. The climax is not a dramatic explosion but a culmination of small reconciliations, misunderstandings clarified, forgiveness exchanged, and a newfound willingness to embrace change. By the conclusion, the cottages stand renewed, and so too does the bond between Janie and Essie. Imperfect but stronger, built on honesty rather than illusions. Chapter progression and emotional arc. Return and resistance. Essie arrives home, defensive and reluctant. Janie, while relieved to have her daughter near, struggles to navigate her criticism. The cottage as sanctuary, Jane's home, lovingly renovated, stands as a contrast to the tension with. The setting is richly described, grounding the reader in seaside life. Community web. Locals appear, offering warmth, humor, and reminders. The life in a small town is never isolated. Clashes and old wounds. Early conflicts reveal deeper scars. Ass's disillusionment with her mother, Janie's regrets about the past. The Seagate Project. Introduction of cottages in need of repair. Their decay mirrors relational distance, their restoration becomes a shared goal. Romantic undercurrents. Both women encounter possibilities of love, though hesitantly. Resolution and renewal. The novel closes with a sense of continuity. Life remains imperfect, but bonds are stronger, futures more hopeful. Themes. Home and belonging. The novel explores the idea of home as both a physical space and an emotional state. The seaside cottages represent not only shelter but also the possibility of renewal. Mother daughter bonds. Unlike many novels that idolize family relationships, Colgan presents them with honesty. Misunderstanding, resentment, and disappointment coexist with love, loyalty, and hope. Resilience and renewal. Both Janie and Essie face setbacks, divorce, job loss, estrangement. This sharp distinguishes the novel from typical romantic fiction, community and connection. The village of Carso is more than a backdrop, it is a character. Its pub quizzes, local gossip, and collected farm illustrate the importance of belonging to something larger than oneself. Conclusion. Meet Me at the Seaside Cottages is a testament to Jenny Colgan's ability to combine comfort with depth. It is not just about love found or cottages restored, but about the harder, quieter work of reconciliation, acknowledging flaws, forgiving mistakes, and choosing to begin again. While its predictability may frustrate some, its sincerity and emotional resonance outweigh these quibbles. For readers seeking a story that is both soothing and meaningful, Colgan's novel delivers. Above all, it reminds us that healing is possible, not in grand gestures, but in daily acts of patience, understanding, and the steady rhythm of seaside life. This is all we have from this book. I hope you guys liked the stories. If you did, don't forget to press the like button. I'll be back with another videos with another books. Till then, just take care and goodbye.